right, welcome back. So that is some of the footage from the Walker's Texas State IDPA Championship. It was a great match. I had a great time. Did something kind of different. I think if you're on IG, you've probably already seen most of that. I put a reel on here too on YouTube about it. But I shot the gun in bug optics, or not for score. But it was super interesting. I got a lot more data, a lot more information about bug optics and how I think that ought to go. So let's take a look at the remainder of the stages. This one might be a little bit of a long one because I got a lot of footage, and we'll come back and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about what I did. We'll talk about why I did it, and I'll give you the standings and the breakdown from the match. And yeah, let's take a look at a little more footage.
Basically, it's good. About 3 years, maybe 4. Yes, it is.
All right, so those are the stages. That's the 2025 Walker's Texas State IDPA Championship. It was a great match. I would definitely go back. Was able to do it kind of on the cheap, so yeah, even better. Flying in and out of Dallas was easy. We did have a couple of guys lose bags. My buddy Sydney lost his PCC on the way there, but we went a day early, so they were able to get it to us on Friday morning. So no harm, no foul, I guess. My other buddy Mark Bryant, also shooting PCC, they lost all of his clothes. So I mean, they got it back to him, but he had to shoot the match in, and after going and buying a bunch of clothes, and yeah, so I don't know, Dallas Airport, we're gonna have to step up the bag game, I guess. Okay, the overall results: PCC high overall again was my buddy Sydney Ballard. He's been kicking ass in TCP for at least the last. This is the second year in a row that he's been doing that and kicking ass. CDP was Rudy Segura. I met Rudy while we were there. I think he was working stage 3. So well done, Rudy. I gave him a bug sticker, so I was giving out bug stickers and bug coins to anybody who, not bug coins, but carry gun coins to anybody who's shooting their CCP or bug. Yeah, so well done, Rudy. SSP was Nils Jonasson, just barely squeaking another one out in SSP. I'm just kidding. He won by quite a bit. ESP was Jared Miller. Jared, I think Jared's the one who won bug at Nationals last year. I'm pretty sure that's him. So well done, Jared. Looks like you're moving on to ESP. Revolver was JD Tippett. JD was also the most accurate at the match, so well done, JD. Most accurate with a revolver. Pretty damn good. CCP, Greg Bellamy. Seen that name at the top of CCP standings before. Don't know that I've met you, Craig, but well done. Bug was Guy Jabert. I think he's a Wilson Combat Team shooter, like his teammate Austin, who came in first in CO division. Talked to Austin a little bit. He didn't think that he had such a good match, but boy did he. So he was top pistol overall. So well done there. And of course, coming in atop of Bug Optics division was yours truly, Joe Bodden. So yeah, I technically shot for no score, but yeah, Bug Optics was what I was doing. So I'm going to talk more about that here in a minute. But yeah, so 275 shooters total, 166 of which shot the match with a dot. That includes me. So that's a little over 60% of the field using a dot. So just more evidence that when IDPA shooters have the choice, which they do, they're choosing dots. 60% of the time. This is the second major in a row that we've covered and we've looked at that has been 60%. And this is a big match. The last one was a big match too, but it was less than this one. It was 140 something shooters, but 275 shooters, 60% of which want optics. I think it's past time to have the conversation of, okay, we need to have more divisions than just one for Freudian slip, for bug optics, or for just optics in general, because having 6 or 8 divisions of irons and one for optics, it's not what the customer base wants. So I think we should talk about that more. From what I could tell, there were 3 gear check failures. There was a couple of other DNFs that those are the ones that like it looks like they made it to chrono, which was like right around stage 1, and then didn't continue after that. So either they had unsafe guns or didn't want to shoot anymore after that. One of them was me, because I didn't want to take the optic off my bug gun. So I went around on Friday. Sydney and I were kind of like watching the staff shoot, and I was asking like, hey, who's the MD? And it's Bora Angel, who was a super good dude, super accommodating. And I was like, hey man, like what if I fail gear check? The rules say that it's up to you whether or not I can continue. So would I continue if I failed gear check? And he said, well, if your gun's unsafe, no. I was like, well, okay, like what if my bug gun has an optic on it? And he kind of looked at me like, why would you do that? Which is, pretty much how all of the SOs, there's a number of SOs that didn't notice, which was kind of funny. But there was a couple of SOs that were like, didn't notice until after I was done shooting, and then were like, unload and show clear. What are you doing? Because they didn't know, like, they weren't ready for me to only shoot 6 shots. I thought like, he's got an optic, so he's in CO, and then I'm shooting 6 rounds. So yeah, that was kind of fun for me. But anyway, more on that in a minute. There were 10 disqualifications in a big match with 275 shooters. I don't think that that's an inordinate amount. It was a technical match, so like I said, I don't think that that's a knock on the match or anything like that. It's just what can happen sometimes at bigger matches and technical matches. So yeah, so kind of the whole reason I went down there to Texas was that, like, I was over Christmas time. I was talking to Heather, and she was like, "What do you want for Christmas?" And I was like, really couldn't think of anything. But that was kind of when I'd heard Texas State had moved up to March instead of May, and I thought I can stay down there with my little brother who lives in Dallas, and I had points for a flight, so I was like, "Hey, what I want for Christmas is for you to be cool with me going to Texas in March." And she was like, "Yeah, okay." So this is kind of like an addition to, I kind of have the usual rotation of matches that I go to. This is an addition, but I think it's going to be a staple because the range is super awesome. The The match was super awesome. Like I liked it a lot. In addition to this being the venue for nationals this year, like it was just good to get down there and see like this is where you're going to be, this is where you're going to stay, this is where you're going to eat. So all good things. So yeah, so like I said, I wanted to be respectful of the match. I didn't want to just show up and be like, oh, I failed gear check, whoops a daisies, I have an optic. So I asked beforehand, and they were cool about it. So so no big problem there. But you know what one of the reasons I really wanted to do it is because I wanted to shoot you know, bug optics in, you know, all of the different ways that we're kind of doing it at locals up here. You know, shoot it in 6-round division, you know, for a long day at a sanctioned match, and just in general, like I haven't really shot bug like for like year round since like 2021. You know, 2022 I kind of split between CCP, but pretty much then it's been CCP after that. So and then kind of shooting a bug match at a different state match, you know, each year. But so yeah, I just wanted to give it a try, and I wanted to get a little bit more data or input from, you know, what this might be like. You know, it's because it's a little bit more difficult when it's like stages that I have like a bit of a like insight into, or the local match where like we're running the match, like, or I'm doing sets in the match, I'm helping out with the stages, I'm helping set up. It's just not quite the same. So like going to somebody else's match, a big match in particular, and just being like, how is this going to go? Because maybe it's going to be a huge dumpster fire. But it wasn't. It was awesome. So I got a bunch more experience, a bunch more data. And so I got just a few takeaways I want to share with you guys. The first one being about the 6-round game. So I still, like, I'm attracted to the low cap divisions. So I like CCP. I don't know. I would struggle to say better when it was 8 rounds. I liked it not because it was like, I thought it was like particularly like, oh, this is better than 10 rounds, but it just differentiated the game. And so it made it so that I had to do something different than what, you know, the big gun divisions were doing. So I liked it for that reason. And that's another reason why I like the 6-round game. However, in the recent past, I've been shooting like USPS ACO, or, you know, when Nick's not at the local, I'll shoot bug optics with 6 and 15 or 10 rounds to try it out. And so I've been shooting a lot of like, you know, for IDPA, more high cap stuff. And so going back to like, this is just 6 rounds, 6 rounds reload, 6 rounds reload, every position reload. It really like made me remember that like, oh yeah, this is why, you know, a lot of people don't like this. I still had a good time, and it went relatively well for me. There was obviously every match there's you know, hiccups or problems, but yeah, so I can understand why. I mean, it's almost to a person that when I, you know, I've got the petition going, so if we'll talk about that more too, but the petition right now is there's 2 options, like, hey IDPA, maybe give us just optics and bug, and then it's okay, maybe give us optics and, you know, 6 rounds to start and then 15 rounds, just to give it like a high cap option and be different than 10 rounds. So both of those are on the petition, but almost to a person, the people that have signed it have come back and been like, yeah, dude, option 2, like option 2 all the way. I don't think, I mean, maybe somebody has signed it and not said that. But I've had 0 people say, oh, I want option 1. Like 0 have said, we need to keep it at 6 rounds. Yeah, I've had a lot of, we should make bug 8 rounds. Some people make it 10. But mostly after they read the petition, they're like, oh, that's kind of an interesting way to differentiate bug and kind of go back to the way that, you know, it was, or, you know, keep the 6 rounds, harkening back to when bug was 6 rounds only. So again, I like that. I understand why people, what's the opposite of gravitate towards, like are pushed away from bug, for that reason. But yeah, it just reinforced for me the necessity of increasing the round count in some meaningful way. Limited scoring. So almost every person who has ever asked me like, oh, hey, you know, I'm interested in shooting bug, like what do I need to know about it? I've told them that like it's limited scoring, like not, you know, like the standard stage, this match was limited scoring. I think it's the only stage I didn't get to record this match. But in bug, like every stage is limited scoring. And this match was a great example of it. Off the top of my head, I can think of one time where I could reload at like 5 and have, you know, 7 in the gun for the next position and have like 1 makeup round. But most of the time, like it was shoot 6 and go, shoot 6 and go. So it makes it it makes it limited just about every time. And I go back and forth on that because I think part of what we're doing in the games is, or at least in IDPA, is, you know, we're real life training. I think y'all know what I'm talking about. But from that perspective, like I'm not really the guy who's like, oh, you know, this is training or whatever. But like I don't like limited stages in that if you were in a self-defense situation, like being able to recognize like, nope, that wasn't a good hit, or that was a bad shot, or I need to, you know, continue, or whatever. Recognizing that I need to stop now, or recognizing that I need to continue or keep going now, is a big skill. And so like when we take that away in the games, I'm like, you know, I don't like that very well. So, but it does add an interesting game dynamic for the few times when we mandate it. But being that the 6-round game is limited scoring, like, I mean, almost always it's like you get 2 rounds for each of these targets. Otherwise, you're going to be necessitating a 3rd reload or a 4th reload, and that's just more penalizing than you know, taking it down 1 or getting your hits. I'm sorry I said that. But slow down and get your hits. Anyway, yeah, it's bug is limited. So changing that, I know that kind of goes along with the 6-round game and the round count, but changing that up to being just something different. You know, if IDPA were to say 10 rounds is what we want to do, 8 rounds, or 6 and 15, you know, my vote 6 and 15 because you still got to do 1 reload, but that's different than you know, every other division. That's my vote. But another takeaway, distance shots. I didn't think that there were too many like far shots. Like the standards wasn't, you know, a lot of standards for matches is like, all right, we're going to stand here and we're going to shoot 30 yards or targets all the way up to 30 yards, which is cool and fun. But, you know, I didn't think that there weren't any shots like that. We're back after a slight camera malfunction there. So anyway, like I was saying, there was a couple of difficult shots. There was quite a number of like tight shots where there was either hard cover or a non-threat, you know, obstructing part of the 0. So there were difficult shots, but it wasn't like anything that was insurmountable. So I do think that the dot, you know, I haven't been shooting a dot, you know, incredibly long, but I do think that I had a slight advantage with the dot, but like I don't think it was like astronomical. And I thought that this match was a good representation isn't a good word. It was a good match for just showing that like there were plenty of stages with multiple plans that would work, but almost every stage that I can think of, like the best plans, except for maybe one, the best plan was to shoot this straight up. Like there wasn't a bunch of gamey bullshit. There wasn't a bunch of like, I can throw rounds over the head and run it up and shoot it. The best way to shoot it was to shoot it straight up, to just shoot it as fast and as accurately as you can. And so like I really like matches like that because that's really what we're here to do, or here to test. It's like who can shoot the fastest and most accurately. You know, because if there's some kind of gamey way to get through, like people are going to do it. I'm probably going to do it. But for that reason, is because we're trying to be the fastest. So you know, having stages that were this good, I thought was a big boon. And like I said, I think that the dot gave me a slight advantage with distance shots over the regular iron-sighted bug division, but I didn't think that any were so difficult that I would have changed my plan or really done anything different. It may have been, probably would have had to confirm a little more with irons, but I don't think that there was, only on a few, not too many of them were over the top difficult. This isn't really a takeaway, but I wanted to talk about this for a minute because it seems to have taken on a life of its own on Facebook. The wobbly bridge. So I thought the wobbly bridge was a great addition to the match. Like it seemed to cause a lot of consternation, especially for people who weren't at the match. And there were on Facebook, people were talking about like, I'm not athletic enough to do that, and I don't know, man. It just seemed, I thought it was really cool. So like and in retrospect, after having done it now, like I wish I'd have been way more aggressive on that thing than I was. So I think if you stayed down the center of that thing, it didn't move as much. And so like also thought it was kind of weird that it was like, you can step on this and walk through it once and then you have to get off and go away. Thought that was kind of weird. Like it could have been just 3 minutes, the same as everybody else. But maybe there's something I don't know about how difficult it was to get people off of it. I don't know. But yeah, like I said, I think I could have been more aggressive on that, and because there was people who just shot it relatively normal and made it through in like 15, 12 seconds, and I think I got through in like 23, and I was like, I just kind of went, okay, there's that one, there's that one. So like I said, I think being a little bit more aggressive, but also that's like another aspect of the game that like isn't taken into account. Another way to separate like good shooters from better shooters is like, how confident are you? So the shooting was relatively easy. Like none of the shots were difficult. So that wasn't the differentiator in that stage. It was like, how confident are you to get through this? And so because like I said, I don't think I did it slowly or more slowly than some, because I couldn't move or shoot as quickly. I think I was nervous too. And so like, yeah, being confident in doing it is part of the game. And so yeah, I thought that was a cool addition. Yeah, other than that, I don't know why everybody's so upset on the internet about it, but they sure are. In conclusion, it would be stupid of me to say that dots are not an advantage in, versus a bug shooter without one. Like, it is. But I don't think that it's like such an advantage that we can't have a bug optics division or a bug division. You can either call it bug-o or whatever, or just say in bug, you may have a MRDS, you may have a red dot sight, and keep that coupled with iron sights. Will the majority of shooters, if you allow that, put a dot on it? Yeah, probably. But I don't think that I think the maximum in a scenario stage is like 20 yards in a scenario stage. So like that's not such a differentiator that I think that they can't be coupled together. I think that, maybe I'll get in trouble for saying this, but I think in CO it might be a little bit larger of a disparity. But yeah, so far like I didn't think that it was so big. Okay, so my score. So at the end of the day, if my score were put into bug, it would have won the division. It would have been ahead by about 15%. And like I'm not saying that's because I'm like super great or amazing or anything. I think that a lot of it, if it's some of it's the dot and some of it's me. But if I were in CO, it would have been 28 out of 139, which I'm super happy about because I shot it. In everything else about the gun is bug. 6 rounds in every mag, 95 power factor ammo. So I think that comparing 125 power factor CO, in a high cap, which 10 and 10 and 10 magazines, I consider that high cap for IDPA. And then a 6 and 15. That's a super comparable an interesting comparison. Like, what can a guy do in CO with his big 45-ounce gun, and what can a guy do with his 26-ounce 95 power factor gun, and how do they compare to one another? Like, that's super interesting to me. I know that it's not, each division is competing against itself, even though we all look at the high overall scores. It's kind of like when we tell the kids, like, we're not keeping score at your soccer game, but we should have thought about that before we taught them how to count. So, because even though we are competing against each other or not competing against other divisions, we all see what the scores are. So like I said, I think that that's a super interesting, capability or something to look at. Yeah. So shot it with 6 rounds in every mag, would have been 75% of the winner in CO, which was Austin. So 75% of Austin shooting 6 rounds in every mag. Like, I'm stoked about that. Like, I think that's pretty cool. I don't think it's like an amazing performance, but like I said, I think it shows bug optics is a legitimate, like, this could be, something really cool and interesting to do. Yeah, it's only one match, and I'm only one dude. But yeah, I think it's a super cool idea. Okay, so the petition. The petition is coming along really well. It's been live or up there or out for signatures for like 5 days, and we're almost to 100 signatures already. I seem to be getting the most traction by people. I mean, some obviously from YouTube and Instagram and people seeing it through there, but a lot of traction at the match and a lot of traction from, somebody at their club, like the person in California, you know, the guy, I don't remember the name of each clubs, but you know, the guy in the Sacramento club sends it to everybody in the Sacramento group, and then so in the comment section there, I'll put the link again. If you at your local club have an email chain that goes out to all the competitors, by all means send out the link and maybe the link to the YouTube video or whatever. I'll also put up on the back of this video the QR code. If you scan the QR code, it'll take you right to it. Yeah, sign the petition. The more the better. I ran into Joyce while I was at the match. I gave her a Make Bug Great Again sticker. So we'll see. I was going to try and catch her ear at the award ceremony, but I didn't run into her. Maybe I was just too busy drinking beer. I don't know. But I didn't see her because I was gonna float the idea of bug optics. So you know, we'll see what they say when the time comes. But the more signatures we get on that, the better. So big matches coming up. May is going to be super busy. So April's kind of I'm kind of out of pocket for April. I've got some military stuff to do, but I'll be shooting a couple locals. But yeah, May starts the push. So Western the first weekend, second weekend I've got something, third weekend I've got something, and then the Memorial Day weekend is the RMR. So be on the lookout for more footage for that. Sign the petition, please. Send it to everybody you know. If they don't have an IDPA number, just tell them to put a number. Somebody else ran into, oh, I don't have a, you know, it's from Italy. He doesn't have a U.S. telephone number, so just put in 10 digits. I'm probably not going to call you. I might. So I don't know why I added a phone number on there anyway. But anyway, sign the petition. We'll see you on the range. We'll see you next time.